and Oklahoma. But what are things going to look like here in 5 country throughout this evening? We have so many graduations trying to take place, especially trying to squeeze them outside to get a little bit more space. But then we also have to watch out for these scattered rain chances and storm chances. We picked up anywhere between a ½ inch to a full inch of rain earlier this morning, but we're not done yet. The cold front's still off towards our north, passing through parts of central Oklahoma, and it's going to try to spark a few more thunderstorms. Let's talk about what's going on so far with this map. The yellow color shows you a severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect until 8 o'clock. Until 8 o'clock, we've got some scattered storm chances, especially along and south of I-40. You live in northwest Arkansas, we've got some scattered showers on and off throughout this evening. We're also watching more back off towards the west. But you live from Fort Smith southbound, we've got storm chances to talk about. You do see a complex that's already kind of lit up across the Red River. We've had a lot more sunshine today, south and west of Tallahena. These cells we don't have to worry about at all. These will continue to press off towards the east. They're going to be impacting Pushmataha County and then south towards Idabel, kind of clipping right along the river and then staying south of Mena south. These storms are going to be impacting you guys if you live towards Texarkana. And then they'll probably press towards El Dorado. But we're watching for Fort Smith, Poteau, Greenwood, Sallisaw, and Boonville, Paris, also Waldron, and Hackett. What's going to happen for us over the next couple of hours? Notice off towards our west right now where the actual front is. Right behind the front, you have very scattered, pesky showers. Ahead of the front, you're starting to get a couple pop-ups. So they're just starting to form. They're struggling a little bit where they're in the clouds. If you look at some of these cells, they're going a little bit, but they're not aggressively growing because they're still stuck in some cooler air where the clouds are. What we're more worried about are these cells that are starting to form in this clear air. You can see the difference between sunshine with clear skies, and then the gray color shows you those clouds. Where we've got that sun, we've watched temperatures skyrocket this afternoon. In fact, just to put it in perspective, in about 10 to 20 minutes, we saw a jump in Poteau go about 10 degrees once we got the sun to break out over Kavanaugh Hill. We've got a very high sun angle, so you just need a quick break from the clouds in order to warm up. So we're starting to warm up the atmosphere again everywhere you have this yellow color. Reason why we don't have the severe thunderstorm watch going much farther north is because we're going to have the clouds, and they're probably not going to break up too much. They're slowly receding towards the north, but we may stay pretty much overcast from Mountainburg all the way north through Bella Vista, Bentonville, Fayetteville, Rogers, and Springdale. So we're going to be taking a look at some of these cells. Let's go ahead and take a speed on them. These will be the ones that could impact Poteau, and you go to Fort Smith. We've got Northside High School. They're trying to do their graduation. Greenwood, Waldron, Poteau, of course, is trying to do their graduation as well. Forgot to mention that. These will be the storms that we have to watch. So they're moving about 30 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and draw that together real quick and time them off towards the east. So just kind of a rough timing. These storms coming in from just west of Muskogee, if they're able to grow. They're right on the edge between sunshine and clouds. So they're starting to warm up, but they are still being impacted by some cooler temperatures in different parts of the atmosphere. So when they press south and east, we'll see if they start to form. There's a chance that they struggle a little bit. But I do think once they get over I-40 and press south of the interstate, because they're kind of drifting east, but they're also kind of drifting southeast too. You can see the timing. Poteau, 6:15. Clarksville, 7:19. Fort Smith, right there around 6 o'clock. So this would indicate, generally, we may see kind of an earlier arrival for storms than we originally thought. So a lot of these graduations, depending on when they start, we may be able to start after the storms, but you also got to consider lots of heavy rain soaking these arenas, these fields, whatever they've got. You know, maybe you've got turf or maybe it drains really well. Those are kind of side exceptions. Every school is different. But we're going to be watching some scattered downpours at least until 6:15. Just to be safe, that's the arrival of the storms. A lot of these storms could last for an hour, so maybe add an extra hour to these times. So Fort Smith, for example, if we can get some of these storms arriving close to 6 o'clock, remember, we're going kind of roughly off these initial baby storms that are firing up. So this is a very rough timing. But let's call it 6 in Fort Smith. You should probably really watch from 6 to 7 o'clock because it takes a while for the storm to completely clear. In Poteau, about 6:15-ish to about 7:15-ish. That's getting us close to that 8 o'clock graduation. And in Clarksville, 7 o'clock, 7:15, 7:20, until about 8:20, maybe even 8:30, could even be 9 o'clock. These storms won't consistently stay at 30 miles per hour. They could speed up a little bit, they could slow down, and even a couple mile per hour difference would change your timing by 10, 20, even 15 minutes or so, just depending where you are. So that's kind of the update on what we're watching right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these southern storms, because this kind of shows you what we're even talking about. We're really talking about a very low tornado risk, but a higher wind and hail risk. And it's really been a hail threat that we've had on some of these storms. But notice, not every single location is going to have hail. Let's go ahead and pull that up for a second. The reason why I'm showing you storms that are just south of us are because we could be seeing some of those try to develop into storms that are going to be like these later on. These ones have just fired quicker because they've had more sun. We're still trying to clear out the sun towards the north. So if we can, these storms towards our north could eventually look like these. Go ahead and put up the hail tracker. Go ahead and, there you go. Okay, I'm going to loop it over the past hour. So when you're watching this whole line of storms, it doesn't mean every location along the whole line's getting hail. We've got a good pocket right there along the Red River. We've got a couple more pockets a little bit north of Dallas that are trying to form. But we could see a couple hail pockets try to form across the floor and then press into parts of Sebastian and Scott counties a little bit later this evening. All right, here's a closer look at home. Severe thunderstorm watch for Sebastian, LaFleur, Haskell, Latimer, and Scott counties, and then Polk County off towards the south. Right now, when you look at the high resolution data, we're not going to be able to see those storms very well, although you can start to see them. They're starting to show up on some of our echoes. We're coming out of Fort Smith with that radar, so we're quite at a distance now. You should really probably check the Oklahoma City radar for these, but they are starting to fire up. Notice how they're firing up a little bit more aggressively. I know they're small now, but give them a couple more scans, they might grow a little bit. They're finally trying to pop up and where we don't have as many clouds. We're starting to get more energy built up where the sunshine is taking place. You look northbound, these are just scattered showers. Yeah, it can get a little heavy at times, but this is not going to turn severe. But we're going to watch some more showers coming in northwest Arkansas. So what you can expect this evening is that if you live north of I-40, especially even Mountainburg and Lake Fort Smith, north all the way into Washington, Madison, Carroll, and Benton counties through this evening, we're still going to have some scattered showers. But we're probably not going to run into many hail and wind threats, especially if these clouds are not able to break. Right now, they're holding on pretty steady. But you go south of Van Buren through Northside High School, Southside High School, right into Greenwood, and then right to Pirate Country and Poteau. That's where we're going to watch the better chance for these pop-ups. Hit or miss. Notice how there's still breaks in between some of these, and that's probably going to be the case later this evening. But we're going to be watching some of these scattered pop-ups try to move in between some of those times, 5 o'clock to about 8 o'clock in the River Valley. And I know we've got a lot of graduation trying to take place at 7 or 8 o'clock this evening. So we could be watching an active radar at that time, hit or miss still, but quickly probably moving out. The watch only goes until 8 o'clock. We'll see if that needs to be extended, but right now, probably going to be cut off there at 8 o'clock. So that's what we're watching this evening. Temperatures are warming up where we've had more sunshine. We've got a nice easterly wind trying to pump up some of this moisture that's headed in towards some of these storms. We're warm. Now we've already hit 80 in Waldron. Just about an hour ago, we were sitting in the low 60s in Poteau. Now we're at 77, so big jump with some of that sunlight. We're even trying to get a little bit warmer in northwest Arkansas, not so much because of the clouds breaking, but we're trying to move some of the warmer air northbound. So that's why you see a bit of a jump across northwest Arkansas, 76 Fort Smith, 75 in South. So a closer look at some of these temperatures. Very mild. I think these upper 60s, low 70s may not jump too much more throughout the afternoon across northwest Arkansas, but they may continue to jump farther south. We're looking at Greenwood 73, 74 in Paris, so mid-70s, and then a lot of us from Greenwood south could try to flirt with 80 degrees if we can keep that sunlight out for a couple more hours. But that also means there's more energy available for some of these thunderstorms. But it also depends on the upstairs. You know, we've kind of washed out, we've used the atmosphere upstairs a little bit throughout the day. So we're going to see if we can try to cool off higher levels. That means we create more instability for more thunderstorms. It takes a while. You can't usually just get one thunderstorm and then form another one right after. It's very hard to do that. It's possible, but it's a little bit harder. So we'll see how that works out throughout the afternoon and evening. But right now, surface temperatures are warming up. We've got some nice southerly winds in Poteau, 8 miles per hour. Same story in Sallisaw. More of that easterly wind, calm to 6, and in northwest Arkansas. We've got more of that southerly tilt once you're in the River Valley. That's also helping just to warm up. This is a live look in Fort Smith. We've got still a decent amount of clouds over downtown, but it's harder for the camera to see some of the blue pockets sometimes, but you can see how it gets pretty white in between. When the camera's trying to pick up, there's probably a couple pockets of sun, but we're trying to break out the clouds slowly. If you look deeper into Oklahoma, it looks like we've got a little bit more clearing for us. Then different story when you head into Bentonville. This is a lot cloudier of a sky when you look across northwest Arkansas. Those clouds are helping us keep safe from severe weather, but maybe not completely safe from showers. Bentonville called their graduation a couple hours ago, I believe this morning. If you have the 5 News app, you would get those alerts. But here's a look at Futurecast. It's already a little aggressive. One thing we use in meteorology is we use a term called initialization. Models aren't everything, right? They're just a tool. Well, if it's 3:06 right now, let me jump back. This is what Futurecast thinks at 3 o'clock. Is this completely what we're seeing right now? No, it's not. Any model that you pull on your phone right now or any website is going to be off. None of them are initializing very well. This is a tricky environment because we had a big batch of rain come in earlier. So this radar scene is not valid, but there are a couple things we can glean from it. But remember, this is not gospel at all. If you look westbound, all these stronger storms that it's trying to paint, they don't exist. They exist farther towards our south where we've had more sunlight, but we've had a lot of clouds, so these do not exist yet. So this is going to show you a worst case scenario. Storms trying to fire up. Now they could try to fire up in the next hour or two, but it's already behind, so got to keep that in mind. 4 or 5 o'clock, they start to move in. 5 o'clock, trying to come into parts of LaFleur County and then throughout the Southern River Valley. But by about 6, we're starting to push the heaviest rain out. And this is worst case, remember. A lot of us by 8 o'clock may start to clear out with some of the storms pushing that eastern sky. Can't rule out a stray shower on the backside because if you remember that cold front right now, still have some showers on it north of the cold front, already in some of that cooler air. So that could be possible, a scattered shower. But some of the latest data has these storms trying to push out by 7 o'clock for many of us, but maybe a stray shower after that. So lots of calls schools are trying to make. We'll be on the phone with several of them throughout the afternoon. National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center, they have reduced the severe threats in terms of their aerial coverage. The yellow threat has been pushed farther south. We still have a level 1 from Springdale to Fort Smith, but once you get south of Fiena Hills, so Northside High School, we're in the level 1. Southside High School, we're in that level 2. Poto, we're in that level 2. Greenwood, we're in that level 2 as well. Boonville and Waldron, Mansfield, Hackett, Midland, level 2. But to be honest, I think the strongest storms will still be from southern LaFleur County south to Texarkana. That's where we just has had more sunlight and we are running warmer right now. So keep that in mind. Still a tricky forecast. We were using this a little bit earlier, kind of a decent time frame still. I think we're pretty much done with any kind of storm chances. That's not including scattered little light showers that could be possible on the backside. We're talking about the main line, the main course trying to come on through. We should be done by about 6 o'clock, right where you see the difference between the light purple and this medium purple. 6 o'clock pushing across Fort Smith, Poto, Greenwood, maybe ending for us in Poto and Fort Smith, maybe closer to 7-ish, 7:30. And then 8 o'clock more for Paris and Mount Magazine, Waldron, and Clarksville. By about 8 to 9 o'clock, they should be crossing Russellville and towards our east toward Little Rock. So I think for 5 country, many of us should be done by about 8 o'clock. We'll let you know if any changes happen. We just want to give you an update this afternoon on a few things that we have noticed. I'll back it up to the main radar for just a second. Take one more look at it. We're still trying to watch some of these fire up. You're starting to get a little bit of red on a few of these. Indication that they are strengthening. Don't believe we have any lightning strikes on them yet, but once we get some lightning strikes, then you really know that these are trying to strengthen a little bit. The front is coming through Oklahoma City, so I really need to move that front just a tad, but there's the front. See those clouds? Kind of one last round of a couple little pop-ups. But it's these storms that we're going to watch this evening. These would be the ones to try to make a run towards Poto, Salisaw, Fort Smith, Greenwood, Waldron, Boonville, and Paris later this evening. We'll continue to track them throughout the rest of the afternoon. Make sure you keep it local, keep it here. As always, we'll keep you advised.